Hey Wayne, how you doing?
Wonderful.
Good to see
How are
you.
you?
Good. This is Wayne from Niemeyer. This is where we get a lot of our plants from. It's also where we get a lot of our block from. But wanted to make a video, give you a quick rundown on the proper way to water your brand new plants. So how do you water plants?
Well, first of all, plants need about 1 inch of water a week.
Okay.
And the best thing is to give them a little bit deeper watering rather than a bunch of shallow, infrequent waterings. Now, when you've got a new installation, the important thing is going to be probably to water them frequently. So that's a little bit against the grain.
Yeah.
But when those plants are put in, they're not adapted. There's no root system yet in the ground. So you're really going to have to kind of monitor these hot, sunny days. It's almost going to be on a daily basis or every other day basis, again, depending on the plant.
So a different type of watering structure in the summer versus in the fall or spring?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, we're going to be watering a little bit less in the fall and a little bit more, obviously, in the hot summertime.
Yeah.
A little bit more for larger plant materials such as trees or shrubs, a little bit less for perennials or annuals.
Okay.
So basically, first of all, to me, this is the instrument to water with, especially if you've got a bunch of
Which is
different
fantastic, but not everybody's going to have your fancy tools. They're
plants.
going to
No,
have just a
this
regular
is
garden
the
hose.
simplest, and it doesn't have to be from us. It is the simplest type of water wand you can get. It has an on-off switch for when the phone rings, and it also doesn't have all these fancy gadgets and different adjustments.
Yeah.
Basically, we've got it attached over here, the on-off switch, and it's a nice steady stream of water.
Okay.
And this is really what you want to have.
When they're watering, are they watering like right in the middle of the plant? Are they concerned about going around the plants at all with
Sure.
the surrounding soil?
In this kind of an established bed, now again, a lot of the stuff you're going to be doing is more recent installation.
Yes.
Now that recent installation, you're pretty much, let's say something like here was just installed. I would basically just soak it around the edge of the plant. You can go a little bit in the middle. Typically, we do not just do this.
Okay.
And get all the foliage wet.
Yeah.
We actually want to soak it down a little bit.
Okay.
Now, in the case of perennials, with a water wand such as this and decent water pressure, I'm going to say you're going to go about probably 15, 20 seconds.
Per smaller plant
Per
like that.
smaller
Okay.
plant. We're going to then move on to the next one, water it. And again, depending on the weather, we might actually go back on all these plants another time to really let it get soaked.
Okay.
Okay?
So 15 to 20 seconds per small plant. So when we go into like a hydrangea, a boxwood, so medium-sized shrub.
Medium shrub, we're probably going to go somewhere between 30 seconds and a minute.
Okay. Wow, that's actually more than I thought.
Yeah, and again, just depending on a little bit of the pressure, a little bit of kind of the weather, what's going on.
Yeah.
So like a larger plant here, it might be 15, 20 seconds. It could be up to 30 seconds actually.
Okay.
And again, it could be just depending up to a minute. And again, we're gonna really kind of soak the ground around it, let it soak in, and then we're probably going to skip at least a day. And again, depending, as we said, depending on the season,
Yeah.
we might skip 2 or 3 days.
Okay.
Everything changes with an irrigation system.
True.
Okay, versus hand watering.
Yeah.
Now a tree, you guys use tree bags,
We use
don't
tree
you?
bags,
Okay,
yes.
so you fill those up with water.
Yeah.
And you let them go. I think
bag
it
to
usually takes about 6 hours, maybe 8 hours.
Okay.
So you really don't have to fill them. You can let it go again, probably a day, 2
Okay.
days. Again, weather dependent. About every 2 to 3 days, I'd fill that bag up. That's a nice slow drain for
Great.
a tree.
Okay.
So you're not really going to stand out there with a tree, with a water wand. This
Got it.
is more for your shrubs, more for your perennials.
When is a customer at risk of overwatering their plant?
It's really a great idea if you can kind of get a little in tune with the plants. When a plant is wilted, it needs water. It shouldn't wait 24 or 48 hours before it gets water.
Yeah.
When it's wilted, it needs water.
Okay.
Okay. If you go to the ground itself and feel it, this is pretty wet and pretty muddy.
Yeah.
Okay. We're probably good now
Yeah.
for a couple days.
Okay.
They say to actually let that top especially dry out a little bit.
Yeah.
Let it dry out a couple days before you re-water it.
Okay.
What's happening is when we water, it takes up all the space that would be oxygen.
Okay.
And when that oxygen is taken up, it suffocates the plants.
Okay.
So when there's way too much water.
Yeah.
You can stick something down there. You could take a little knife or a shovel and kind of just feel it, poke your finger under there. If the plant is wilted, water it.
How long after installation do they have to be doing this? How many weeks is there of this is a new plant to where this is an established plant?
I say critical establishment stage is about 6 to 8 weeks. Kind of say that you put the new plants in, I'm going to check these plants probably every other day
Yep.
in 70, 80 degree days. I'll check them about every other day. I see something wilted, I'm going to water it.
Yeah.
I might be watering every other day. I might be watering 2 to 3 times a week
Okay.
during that period. After that period, you're going to notice that the plants are looking a little healthier.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be wilting down as much. So you're going to probably decrease that watering. And after about 6 to 8 weeks, you really, once a week is probably good.
In which
for that
case you're
first
hoping
year.
for rain or your irrigation
Absolutely.
heads to hit it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we really didn't talk about that. If we get a 1-inch rain or more, then you really kind of skip the watering for 2-3 days.
Okay.
Okay. And a lot of people, they see some rainfall. Well, if you have a rain gauge, that is the best indication.
Yes.
If it's only a tenth or two, that's not a lot of water.
Yeah.
So you're going to be watering probably the next day. We want to talk a little bit about irrigation. Depending on the irrigation system, some things have sensors, some don't.
Mm-hmm.
Mine does not at home. I have an irrigation system, so we're so accustomed in life to just saying Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Yeah.
Well, if we've had 3 cloudy days and we've had a little bit of rainfall,
That doesn't exactly work.
it doesn't exactly work. And this is where we get into those habits of overwatering.
Okay.
We just become so automated.
Yeah.
And we really shouldn't be that automated. You got to get a little tuned in to the plants, you know, whether they're wilting a little bit, whether we have overcast days.
Yeah.
So it's not as simple as saying that you got to water every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Fair.
Planting is not as simple as putting in a brick.
Right.
We put it in, it's going to
It's
look
done.
the same next week.
Yeah.
3 weeks later, 2 years later, the plant changes, season changes,
Yes.
the weather changes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of factors.
So moral of the story is plants are a living, breathing thing. It is not like these patios that we install where you just set it in the ground and you can just forget about it. You have to maintain them for a little bit of time. Like Wayne was saying, 6 to 8 weeks is the critical implementation period where these roots are going to become familiar with the surrounding soils. We have to make sure that we are not underwatering, and we have to make sure that we are not overwatering. It is almost an equal amount of occurrences that we have of people that are overwatering plants that are underwatering. So following these crucial steps will guarantee the success of the plant.